Turn Signal with Kim Trobee.
Throughout his campaign for president, Senator Barack Obama has used words such as hope, change, and dream. Well, tonight he attempted to define just how he would bring about change.
We may not agree on abortion, but surely we can agree on reducing the number of unwanted pregnancies in this country. I know there are differences on same-sex marriage, but surely we can agree that our gay and lesbian brothers and sisters deserve to visit the person they love in a hospital and to live lives free of discrimination.
FRC Action President Tony Perkins joins us to analyze some of the highlights. Tony, thanks for joining us.
Good to be with you.
Some of his handlers wanted him to seem like everyman. Do you think he was able to pull that off?
You know, what I saw tonight, Kim, is he seemed to be on the defensive. He was not Barack has been, I think, a very good orator in terms of he's been able to electrify the crowd. You know, he spent the good part of his, the beginning of his speech just really attacking both the present president, George W. Bush, as well as John McCain. So I was a little disappointed in how he came across tonight.
Do you think that he was able to actually flesh out that change that he's been talking about tonight?
Well, I think if you listen to his speech and all that he rattled off in terms of what he was going to do, you get the sense that the change he was talking about were the few coins that would be left in your pockets when he was finished. I mean, he really had a lot of stuff that he was talking, grandiose plans, but again, lacking in substance, which has become typical of Barack Obama. And I'll have to say, when I sit there and waiting for his speech to begin, I like to hear people who communicate well. And so I was, fairly objective when he was beginning his speech, and I was really anticipating on this historic day. And you have to think about this. This is a historic day. 45 years ago, Martin Luther King Jr. made what I think is probably one of the greatest speeches in American history there on the Mall in Washington, D.C. And if you go back and read that speech, and many of the speeches of Martin Luther King Jr., he was a brilliant man and an outstanding communicator, but he had substance in the way he spoke poetically, but with great substance. And Barack Obama speaks somewhat poetically, but there's no substance. And I thought he was tremendously lacking in substance tonight and seemed to be, again, very defensive in the way he spoke tonight, defending his patriotism, constantly attacking John McCain. And, again, a very defensive candidate tonight.
He didn't really say much about abortion. Talk about that.
Very surprised about that. It was about three quick things he mentioned, and if you happened to blink or get up to get a Coke, you would have missed it. I mean, he talked about quickly on the abortion issue, on same-sex marriage, and I mean he was gone. No time at all devoted to those issues. Clearly playing more to his base than trying to reach out to marginal evangelicals who may feel a little, distant from the Republican Party. He certainly was not speaking to them tonight. I don't think if they were watching this speech that he gained ground with them at all.
The gay caucus has been very noisy in Denver this week. What's he going to have to do if he wants to convince people that he's really not a gay marriage supporter?
It's going to be very hard for him to do because he's on record, and of course the party is on record now as wanting to repeal the Defense of Marriage Act. It's hard to say that you're not a supporter of same-sex marriage when you're going to you want to repeal the only thing that is keeping it from spreading across the country. So I don't know that he can do that. I think it's going to become increasingly harder for him to reach the marginal evangelicals. Now, there's no question. I see it as I travel the country. What has happened in the last really 2 years, been in the works for 4 years, a lot of social conservatives are really disenchanted with the Republican Party and their failure to follow through on many of the promises made. And so there are social conservatives on the margins looking for a better way. And some of the talk that Barack Obama has engaged in through the course of this campaign has sounded appealing to some. Tonight was not one of those nights. And I think increasingly, as you see the contrast between the two candidates and where they really stand on the issues, I think it's going to be very difficult for Barack Obama to make inroads into the social conservative community.
All right, Tony, thanks so much for being with us tonight.
Well, thank you for having me. Good to be with you as always.